You are driving somewhere you have never been before. You make a wrong turn, and for a split second, your stomach drop. But calm, voice speak, recalculating. 300 meters turn right. No judgment, no lecture, no shame, just new direction. Now, what if I told you that your entire life has been working exactly like that GPS? That every failure you have ever lived through, every mistake you have ever made, every door that slammed shut in your face was never punishment. It was your about being recalculated. Today, we are going somewhere most people are too afraid to go, deep into philosophy of failure. And by the end of this conversation, I want you to feel something shift inside you. Because failure is not your enemy, failure is your navigator. Let's begin. What philosophy says about failure. For thousands years of the great philosophical mind in human history wrestle with one question. Why do things go wrong? And the answers they arrive at were never what the world expected. Thinkers in the ancient Stoic tradition, and I'm drawing here loosely from that word of thought, arrive at a fascinating conclusion. They believe that the obstacles was not separate from the path. The obstacles was the path. In other words, the detour didn't interrupt the journey. The detour was the journey. Think about what that means for a moment. Every time something blocks you, every time the road curve when you wanted it to go straight. That curve wasn't a mistake in the universe design. It was the design. Now, philosopher in the Eastern tradition, in Taoist thought, in Buddhist philosopher, approach this from a different angle but arrive at a strictly similar place. They talk about the concept of why we flowing with what is rather than fighting what isn't. Water doesn't argue with the rock in its path. Water simply finds another way. And in so doing, water carves canyons. Failure in the philosophical tradition has always never been seen as a stop sign. It's always been understood as a signal. The Detours rerouting. Let's talk about what I call the Detours reroute. Thus, philosopher. That school of thought developed in ancient Greek and later flourishing in Rome built its entire foundation on one radical idea. You cannot always control what happens to you, but you always control how you respond to it. Now, inspired by the thinker, here is what I want to ask you. When was the last time you let failure define your identity instead of inform your direction? Because there's a difference. A GPS doesn't say you are terrible driver because you missed the exit. It says, okay, here is what we do now. The Taoist thinkers were essentially teaching the GPS philosophers 2 years ago before the technology existed. When things fall apart and they will, the practice isn't to collapse into the feeling of failure. The practice is to stand inside the moment and ask a single powerful question. What is this trying to show me? That question is rerouting request. It tells the universe or your own deeper intelligence that you are still in motion, that you haven't parked your life on the side of road and given up. You are simply saying, okay, new data, new direction. Think about the great philosophical ideas inspired by the work of thinkers who exploit amor fati, the love of one's faith, not tolerance of difficulty, not grudgy acceptance, but genuine love for every turn the road takes. Because every turn is shaping you into something the original route never could have. That's not weakness. That's one of the most philosophical courage idea ever written. Now, existential detour and finding meaning. Now, let's go a little deeper. Existential philosopher, the tradition that asks, what does my life mean? Add something remarkable to say about suffering and failure. Thinkers in this space inspire loosely by writers and philosophers of the 20th centuries from the existentialist movement. Exploit an idea that shook the world. Meaning is not found, it's made. And here's the key. Meaning is most powerful made in the moment of greatest difficulty. Not in the easy stretches of the highway, in the detour, in the storms, in the recalculating. There is a reason that when you ask the people you most admire about the turning point in their life, they always never point the easy wins. They point to the loss, to their losses, the fire, the betrayal, the illness, the heartbrokens, because those were the moment the GPS was most alive, rerouting furiously, calculating new possibilities, opening road that had been invisible before. Failure doesn't just redirect you. It reveals you. It peels back the vision of yourself that was going through the motion and shows you who you actually are when everything else is stripped away. That person, the one who shows up after a failure, is usually more of you, more grounded, and more capable than the one who started the journey. The signs of wrong turn. Like a friend talking to you. Now, I want you briefly touch something that modern research has caught up with, that philosophers knew all along. Scientists who study what humans call post-traumatic growth, and this is widely published, peer-reviewed, documented work, have found something extraordinary. A significant number of people who experience profound failure, losses, or hardship report coming out the other side with greater clarity of purpose, deeper relationship, increased inner strength, a richer sense of what life actually means. In other words, the wrong turn led them somewhere the right turn never would have. This isn't motivational fluff. This is documented human experience. The GPS doesn't always take you where you plan to. It takes you where you need to. And sometimes, most times, those are very difficult places. Your life map was never meant to be straight. Here is the truth that took me a long time to sit with. You were never supposed to have a straight path. No one was. Look at the most beautiful rivers in the world. They don't run straight lines. They win, they curve, they split, they become back again together. And that winding, that bending, that's not a flaw in the river. That's what makes it river. Philosophers across the tradition have spoken in their own unique voice about the beauty of non-linear life. The life that zigzag is not life that failed. It is life that exploit. Think about every version of yourself that failed at something you desperately wanted. That relationship that didn't work out. That career path that collapsed. That dreams that seems to evaporate. Now ask yourself honestly, who would you be if every one of those things had succeeded? Would you have been here watching this? Asking this question, would you have been depth you carry right now? Would you have been the depth you carry right now? The GPS always knew what he was doing. You just could not see the full route yet. The reroute practice. So what do we actually do this time? Because philosophers without practice is just beautiful noise. Here is what I call the reroute practice. 3 simple steps you can use the next time failure hits. Step 1. Pause before the story. When failure happened, we immediately start writing a story about what it meant. We become the villain of our own narrative. Pause before that story gets written. Take a breath, let the GPS recalculate before you decide what the failure is. Step 2. Ask the navigator questions. Instead of why did this happen to me? Ask what is this making possible? Those are the two different questions. One closes, one open. One spark the car, one keep you moving. Step 3. Honor the route. Honor the reroute. Acknowledge that this detour is legitimate. It's real. It belongs to your journey. Doesn't erase it. Don't fight it. Let it be. The turn that is it and trust the new road. Let something the old road didn't. That's the philosophical practice of every great thinker who ever sat with failure and choose to keep walking. Failure is not the universe telling you to stop. Failure is the universe saying, not that way, this way. You are not broken because you have been rerouted. You are navigating. Every slow suffer, every wise mind, every human being who ever built something meaningful from the wounds of something lost, they all had one thing in common. They listened to the GPS. They said, okay, recalculate, I'm still moving. And the road open. It will open for you too. I will see you in the next one. Please subscribe to this channel. Thanks so much.